yo, everybody, this is fun. This is fun. This is your man, Chuck Creekmur, a.k.a. Jigsaw, for allhiphop.com. And we are here with a legend, my brother, Play, a.k.a. Chris Martin. You know what I mean?
My man Chuck Jigsaw in the building. I don't know about the legend thing, but I'm still working on it. Working on it.
Nah,
Yeah,
come
we're
on.
working on it.
We're not even gonna play
Yeah.
that game. We're not
Yeah.
even gonna play
No,
that game.
I'll accept pioneer. I'll accept icon. But the legend thing, when you look at, those you would compare it to, it's funny because I was watching for the umpteenth time, Richard Pryor, Omit Logic. I think that was the name of it. And, a lot of those kind of stories and those individuals from that era that I admire so much, when you compare the two, it's like, yeah, still got work to do. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate and I accept it as a prophetic
Yeah.
situation there.
Okay, no problem, no problem. Well, first of all, I want to jump right into the business at hand. You have a new documentary coming up called And I Danced, which I have been privy enough to see some of. Now, if I was on my game a few years ago, I would have been able to see the whole thing. But all right, let's bring it up to the. It's been a long time coming though. So yeah,
I mean, someone reminded me this has been like over 6 years in the making. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And the thing about it was, I'm not dealing with a budget that affords you that you could just get out there and knock something out in a month or whatever. So for me, I love the fact that and hope that it resonates with audiences, that it's organic, because it's almost like a video journal, in my travels.
Yeah.
As Kid and I are touring and we're going from city to city, and I have people helping me. Two co-producers with this is Shane Johnson Bob. She just recently got married, and congratulations.
Okay.
And then Donnell Artis. So Donnell Artis is on the West Coast, Shane is on the East Coast. So as I'm traveling and giving them a heads up of what city I'm going to be in and go, they still kept in touch with a lot of those dancers, as well as I still have a relationship with some too. So, all the touring we did, the traveling, it was a slow but steady process, so that's why it took as long, and me having the time and the mood to edit and all of those type of things. You already know what it is. You know some of this, if not all of that, but yeah, over 6 years,
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, And I Dance chronicles the history of dance in music and culture. Talk about the documentary. Who's in it? What made you do it?
Well, who's not in it? It all started for me literally watching television, watching cable, watching one of the music channels that were showing the throwback or a mixture of throwback music videos from that very late 80s, early 90s era. And I'm having a good time watching it. I'm like, wow, it's making me, reminisce and whole lot of nostalgia. So the question was like, I wonder how everybody's doing and what they're up to now. And it took me quite a while before I put it into action, because I was, I guess, intimidated to think a lot of the dancers wouldn't want to talk about what they used to do or what, those days. And when I talked to one of the dancers featured in it, Portia Kirkland, who happens to be the daughter of PK Kirkland, who used to run WBLS in New York City for a minute, and we have remained friends, and we got on the subject, and I said, I always had this idea to do this dance thing, whatever the working title was at the time. And she's like, are you kidding? You know how many people would love to share their stories? And one thing led to another with a little push from her. And matter of fact, the one with her and Afro Venus were my very first interviews, and word got out, and no one said no. The ones that I wanted, no one said no. So that's how it began. But it's a tribute. It's a celebration. Hopefully I can speak for many other artists. It's my way of saying thank you for their contributions to the eye candy they gave, making the stage performances as exciting, the music videos entertaining. Not to say that the artists couldn't do it themselves, but it helps, So it's a big thank you, and it's a big tribute and a celebration. And that's the labor of love and the place I'm coming from with this,
Now, the documentary is not limited to only hip hop, although hip hop is very prominent. What made you expand on it into the other genres?
one thing led to another. I think it's because of the foundation of the film, which is the story of those who started out in the low budget or no budget music videos that are
Mm-hmm.
now considered hip hop and R&B classics. So
Right.
yeah, it did start out with hip hop, but with the tagline or the description of the documentary speaks on the fact of how they went on to
Mm-hmm.
dance with greats such as Prince, Michael
Yeah.
Jackson, Madonna, and so many others. Others escape me, but a lot of the big R&B artists, Janet Jackson, Prince,
Yeah.
the list goes on. So you had to include that genre of music, and
Yeah.
then dealing with artists such as Mary J. Blige, even Aaron Hall or whatever. Some in a certain time in music evolution, it was called
Mm-hmm.
hip hop R&B.
Yeah.
So eventually you couldn't get away from that if you're going to speak of a lot of those dancers' journey. You know.
In the 80s and 90s, how did you view dance? We'll get into Kid and Play, but you guys incorporated both. How did you view the dancers, and sort of what made you incorporate it in your routine?
I think one music video kind of answers that is our single and our music video, Getting Funky.
Mm-hmm.
And it was filmed up in Harlem. And I had this idea that I wanted to, everybody was giving Kid and Play accolades in regards to our dancing and stuff. And we wanted to just show people the community in which we come from, which
Yeah.
when you did Latin Quarter, or so many of the places you went, Union Square,
Mm-hmm.
that was a part of the night. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That it's like you're going to see cats like the IOU dancers and so
Mm-hmm.
many others do their thing. So
Right.
when we did that music video, it was our way, again, of saying thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And you think we can dance? Let me show you some dancers.
Yeah.
So for me, that whole era, it was about filming the party.
Right.
When it came time for music videos, it was all the antics of a day in the life of us as teenagers, young
Mm-hmm.
adults, what our weekends look like, and all of that. It's interesting. I could go deep in it, but it's interesting because if you remember that era, a lot of backdrops was what happened in school, the antics in school, in the
Yeah.
lunchroom with a teacher, after school, before school, and then parties, house
Right.
parties, and things of that nature. So really, it was just about, you got a camera, go ahead and shoot what we do on a Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? This is
Yeah.
a Tuesday, or this is what we do. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
How far back do you go in the documentary?
Well, in the opening that I'm very proud of, all credit to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ to give me my ideas, is that how you going to touch on dance and not deal with an era of the Nicholas brothers and all of that, and other dancers from that era. So in the opening, as you saw, that's like my tribute. And further in the documentary, we show footage of that too, and showing that there's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
A lot of people don't know that, and justifiably so. I thought so too, but he did it so well, you can't take nothing away from him. But Michael Jackson with the moonwalk.
Yeah.
But when you see in the opening of this documentary, you see how old that moonwalk is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And then also in regards to other moves, spinning on the ground. When I found that footage, I'm like, yo. So in answer to your question, I can go back that far visually, not getting real deep in regards to any interviews with anybody, but we're talking the Lindy Hop and all of those dances back then is like bananas. So yeah, visually we go back that far. But in regards to semi-present day, you're looking at the 90s, early 90s, right when hip hop earned for music videos to be made,
How do you view it now? The dance is there, but it's different.
You got to be in shape and anatomically incorrect. It's like the stuff that you can do. You see these
Right.
cats doing with their bones and this,
Yeah.
that, and this. And, yes, Play will say this. Some of the stuff I've seen, like the dance challenges and stuff, like they make me tired just watching them. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So, yeah, it's physical. It definitely demands being in shape,
Yeah.
and young,
Right.
for the
Right.
most part. Yeah.
Now some of these older cats, they get on TikTok for that little 30 seconds or something, and they'll get
But
it
key
in.
word you said, 30 seconds. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like
Right.
Kid and I were still doing shows until COVID hit. And man,
Yeah.
please have the air oxygen tanks on the side and
Mm-hmm.
the icy hot and the Bengay on the side. You know what I'm saying? Just for what
Right.
little we still do that we can, do comfortably. But yeah, it's a workout. It's
Yeah.
cardio. It's definitely cardio.
Yeah. I was blessed to see Big Daddy Kane's last performance doing the dances with Scoop and Scrap and doing
Hmm.
that split over the top and coming
Hmm.
down. And I was like, yeah, he's not doing that anymore. I was
We
glad.
we we do a lot. We have done, and if we all continue to do a lot of shows with Kane, and that I had a wish list, and
Uh-huh.
Scoob isn't with him any longer. It's
Mhm.
Sean
Okay.
Bailey and Johnny Famous, aka
Mm-hmm.
Scrap Lover, Scoob
Yeah.
Lover. And that's featured in there too.
Mm-hmm.
Those actual moves,
Yeah.
because we had rehearsals with him. So one of the things that was great with this is me having that access to what some people don't get a chance to see.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the back room and have conversations. I have interviews with Genuine, Amarion,
Mm-hmm.
Seven, Danny Lee,
Mm-hmm.
quite a few people that
Okay.
will bless me with how important dancers are
Yeah.
and dancing is in their shows. And yeah, I got Scoob Lover and Sean. They used to dance with Cool G Rap. That's who
Yeah.
Sean
Mm-hmm.
originally used to dance with. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
I know that because they used to dance with G Rap, and I was, G Rap wasn't really that kind of
Right.
guy, but you
Hmm.
would see it in the back, just kind of like window dressing almost, like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
like I said in the beginning, it's eye candy.
hmm
It's visually because I have seen some artists that depend on just the strength of their records, and
hmm
it's great. But after a while, it's like it becomes a little redundant, and some artists know that, so they say, "Well, let me give you something that maybe even take some of the stuff off, some of the pressure off of me to keep your eye captivated."
right, right, right.
Mhm.
Now let's talk a little bit about uh, Kid and Play, just a little bit about the
Mhm.
the kick step, the iconic dance you guys introduced. Now, I don't know that I've ever heard exactly how that dance came about, who created it. What can you give us the story on it?
It comes out of desperation. What happened was when things finally was beginning to happen for us and promoters was like bringing us on shows, they weren't allowing us to have the kind of budget to have the dancers we had with us, which was
Right.
a group called BAD, Body Action Dancers, who went on to dance for Salt-N-Pepa, excuse me, in a
Hmm.
lot of their music videos. But so we knew from our music videos and what people knew us from, they're going to expect dancing.
Hmm.
So, like I said, with the music video Getting Funky, we had several dancers we had great relationships with, but one in particular, I think their name was TLC. It was with Shane Johnson
Hmm.
and two others. No, I take that back. That wasn't them. I take it back. It was a group called, well, the members was Swatch, Hi Hat, and Little Bit.
Okay.
And Hi Hat, interestingly enough, has gone on to be a choreographer for work with Missy Elliott for many
Hmm.
years, and I
Okay.
think she's the choreographer for one of the big, not I think you could dance, but like I think it's one of those big talent things on ABC or CBS. She does
Okay.
the choreography and some other very high profile things she's choreographed for. But we had shared with them, wow, we got to go on the road. We don't have money to pay the dancers. How
Hmm.
can we infuse some of these dances? So I can't say specifically whether she did this and we did that, but it was a brainstorming thing. Let's try this,
Okay.
let's try that, things and stuff of that nature. But
Yeah.
I definitely thank her and give her credit for blessing us with the what we got out of that, and
Yeah.
then Kid and Play taking it to another level that's comfortable for us on stage and stuff. So it evolved, but we
Okay.
had to come up with steps to use because we couldn't bring our dancers out with us, and that's how that really came about. You know.
How do you feel when you see people doing it and it's just never dying? It's always a thing.
Yo, Chuck, that taps into something going on that's been going on for quite a while that, all I was after was girls. That's all I wanted. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And really, all I wanted was a 12-inch single. Let me do a 12-inch single and I'm good. I'll be straight.
Yeah.
I have what I need. And, there's a thing with, man means for bad, God turns into good. So for me, it was like, I never thought any of this stuff that has happened, from movies to a Marvel comic book series to a cartoon series on NBC, and so much, even now, Funko dolls and
Yeah.
and even the reboot of the movie and all kinds of stuff happen. Is like, I'm still catching up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So with the
Right.
dance, like, LeBron is working on the reboot, but we've had a relationship with LeBron. LeBron has shown nothing but love. Or some people may have forget the Allstate commercial that he did with,
Right.
with the kid and play kickstep in it and stuff like that. And even his posting pictures of his sons when they were younger, having the kid and play hairstyles and posting
Right.
those. So it's a legacy that's just unbelievable, and it's humbling, very humbling, very, very humbling. And some people come at us, and I know me, I don't know how much with kid, they're doing this, they're doing that, you should sue them, you should do them. It's like, no, you know what I'm saying? This is love. And I don't need that. I don't need to get my money and stuff like that, or to kill that joy that it brings. You know what I'm saying? Now, taking our faces and putting them on your face and doing the kickstep, that's some legal. We got to
Yeah.
deal with that situation. But the dance, I'm cool with.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to get back to dancing. We're going straight into this conversation about the House Party remake.
Hmm.
What do you think? Like, there's a lot of, I hate to do the barbershop talk thing, but that is a classic. Some people say we don't need another one. What do you think?
I don't. When it went to another level of, because it had been talked about before, because I remember TMZ got at me and wanted to know what I thought, but it was just talk, I guess, at that time. Now that they've actually casted the two leads that would be doing I guess, symbolically the kid and play characters in it, uh, I had to take a pause and be like, okay, what do I think? And I said, you know what, it's okay not to think anything of it, because I'm an artist. You know me, Chuck. I'm an aspiring cinematographer, and I love that whole community. And even from an artistic creative, I'm just more curious about the angle or the approach of the story, because something called a house party isn't the same house party we had then.
Yeah.
People do clubs, they
Yeah.
do day parties and all that kind of stuff. So it'd be interesting to know what the approach will be with that in a different world. It's a different world. Some people might be in denial, but it's different. One thing I would say about the Arsenio Hall show, when it came back, some people felt that Arsenio Hall show failed. I don't think it failed. I think it was the good components and DNA in it that made it a hit back then. That didn't so much change. The world changed.
Right.
What ended up happening was, when Arsenio was doing his thing before, he had access to people we were interested in and loved and were entertained by, and he was able to get the inside scoop when other talk shows weren't interested in those that we were interested in as a culture, and be able to talk about stuff we didn't know. So we'd find out who maybe they were dating and this, that, and this, and all of that going on. But now, to bring the show back and interview guests, you already know what they ate earlier. You know who they're dating. You know all of that stuff. So the mystery is gone. So I just think it just became a different world. So I just like to see how they work that out with the house party, and wish them well. I really do. It's good, as Swiss and Tim would say, it's great for the culture.
All right. So I got a couple. I got a couple theories, a couple new titles for you. I'm gonna see
Okay.
what you think.
Uh-oh.
All right. How about this? Instead of house party, call it Zoom party.
Oh, wow. Doesn't somebody tried to do that during the pandemic? What was that company that did? It was called House Party, but it was like Zoom with everybody coming together. I throw that back at you. What do you think about Zoom party?
Everybody stay in your individual house and have a party. That's what we doing.
I was gonna say, isn't that Versus? You know what I'm saying? Isn't that Versus and a couple other things?
Yeah.
Especially what D Nice has done. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. Instead of house party,
Zoom party. That's funny.
How about this? Super spreader house party. How about that?
You're
See?
wrong. You're wrong for that. Or whoever.
Hey man,
Yo,
hey, it's COVID.
yo, yo,
Come on,
yo.
man. Come
Well,
on, man.
by the time this joint comes out, which I'm looking at best maybe mid 22, late 2022, where do we think we'll be at then?
Well, that's true.
You
Maybe,
know?
maybe. Okay, all right. I won't even start with the TikTok party or the other ones I have written down. We'll stop. We'll stop right there. We'll stop right
Yo,
there.
super spreader, that was a killer.
They,
Excuse
they,
the excuse not literally, but
yeah, yeah,
that was
no,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
nah.
Mm,
Nah, that's but yeah, the world's changed, man, and that's why a lot of these reboots don't work.
mm,
Um, Coming to America,
mm,
was a entertaining movie,
mm.
but New York back then versus New York now, it's like I looked at them both. It's night and day. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, the comedy even from that movie,
Hmm.
night. You know, it's so different. So,
Yeah.
um,
We're all different now. You know,
yeah,
you're mixing a new generation in on this. Some
yeah,
might say, I don't get it,
yeah,
the youth.
right, yeah,
For us, we want to feel how we felt when those things were when they originally came out. But
yeah,
going back to the Arsenio thing, we've been we've been affected. You
hmm,
know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And back then things weren't perfect,
yeah,
but they were different. I
yeah,
almost want to say better.
yeah,
But
yeah,
now, it's to come out of a laugh only to remember bills need to be paid
right, right,
and fear of going outside. It's a lot of that's the atmosphere that's the word. The
yeah,
atmosphere is different. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So, and I think people that are trying, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying, in some way. I mean, what did you think of the movie? Coming
Coming.
to
Uh,
America.
I thought it was solid.
Mm,
I thought it was a fun,
mm-hmm,
lighthearted movie. I thought it was a little long. I thought it could have had less people and less actors. It was kind of
mm,
bloated to me. And
gotcha.
I think the original had a very simple premise
Mm-hmm,
with a super talented team
yeah.
of people. And I thought so. I
Mm,
thought less is sometimes more.
yeah.
So for me, I thought it was good. My daughter didn't sit through it. She
Oh,
left.
really?
My daughter left within 15 minutes or something. So
Wow.
she didn't tune in at all because
Mm-hmm,
she has no relationship to the original
yeah.
whatsoever. So
Yeah. I
and
pick
she's
it.
a
Mm-hmm, go ahead.
she's a phone kid, man. She's picking up.
Mm,
She's on this.
yeah, yeah,
She's on the
yeah, yeah,
phone all
yeah.
day.
Yeah, I
So
pick and choose my battles, so to speak. And I was
uh-huh,
very conscious about when I chose to watch it. And it was a very good time. I watched it crazy early in the morning,
uh-huh,
where it was one of those mornings where I had it like that. And I enjoyed it. I did.
yeah,
I thought it was cool. But then again, I know how to think, I know how to split my mind. I know
uh-huh,
how more than likely how people will be about it
uh-huh,
and know how I feel about it. I can listen to a song and be like, I ain't crazy about it, but it's going to be a hit because I can
right,
tell, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I pretty much was able to kind of forecast where some people may go with it. I think some people are unfair. And as you know, some people get
uh-huh,
online and just feel they have to say something
yeah,
and think that by saying something that they think is funny or whatever, but it's really cruel.
yeah,
And, that's the world that we're in. And you didn't
yeah,
have that with the original Coming to America,
right, right,
and we had theaters. That means
yeah,
something too. When you could go to the
yeah,
theater and if you were
yeah,
watching the movie in a theater alone, you're going to feel some way about it because you're sober. But when
yeah,
you're around a certain energy and
right,
everybody's laughing and someone says some funny thing, that affects you. And you come out, the
yeah.
movie was great, but it was really the atmosphere you was in.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely, definitely.
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
I'd be remiss to mention your ex-wife is in the movie.
Right.
Uh, did you feel anything, or was it just like watching another actor on on the screen?
I'm glad I've come to a place, and without getting deep into it, divorce is divorce, and you feel
Uh-huh,
how you feel. It's not you don't wish that on your worst enemy and all of that.
uh-huh,
And it's been a long time since we were married, and to see her, and someone asked me about it, as people will do, and
uh-huh,
I just said, you know what, she looked good, and one of
uh-huh,
the times she looked really good to me was the part where the Eddie Murphy character played their song near the
uh-huh.
end. Because
Yeah,
I'm a person that doesn't like makeup, you know what I'm saying? I
right,
like
right.
natural beauty. So I was
Yeah,
like, Yeah, there goes Shari. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was cool, but no, no, I'm not there. It's peace means everything to me, and
Yeah.
I spent too much of my life mean mugging because that was what you're supposed to do, keeping up
Mm-hmm.
with the Joneses with your clothes and this, that, and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I still do my thing. I pop a collar too, still every once in a while, but it doesn't define me, and all the feelings and emotions that come with that. So it's like, come on, man. Like
Yeah.
we need to find love. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now wait a second. Now didn't I see you on Facebook with this incredibly dope coat on? Wasn't that you?
Shout out to Hassan, our
Yeah.
friend, Sonny
Yeah.
Hassan, Frederick Poor. Yeah,
Yeah, that was
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Yeah, that was you. And I
yeah.
still feel a way about it. And I want to know where's the hookup? Because your boy, I know I can't afford the joint. So,
You'd be surprised how, what I'm saying. He knows who you are, and believe me, he would without committing him to anything. I'm pretty sure you would experience love. But no, his
yeah,
collection is bananas, man. I got like
yeah,
two coats for him from
yeah.
him, and yeah, he's doing his thing. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
you a humble guy, man. It's, you're too humble sometimes, man.
I don't want no trouble.
Okay,
I
nah,
know
man.
I know trouble too well, so you know what I'm saying.
I
But
feel
I
you.
don't look at it that way. It's just me. But where you getting at with that, Chuck?
Nah, I'm just saying, bro. I'm giving you a compliment. That's what I'm doing.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
in these days and times, you don't know. It's like humble isn't a word you hear a lot. You know what I'm saying? And some
Yeah,
people will get frustrated with me, like, "No, man, tell him. Tell him." Man, I'm like, I don't want to
got
tell him.
to.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Man,
yeah, I get it.
me and my business partner Grouchy Greg, we people tell us all the time, man, y'all got to stop being so humble. Y'all got to talk
Hmm.
that talk, if
Hmm.
you will.
Yeah, well, as it says in the word, there's a time for this and there's a time for that. If I need to
Yeah,
go there, we go there. But
yeah,
it says also in the word, don't speak well. I'm paraphrasing. Don't speak well of yourself. Let others speak well of you. And I
yeah.
commend you guys, all hiphop.com. You know how I felt from you guys from day one. I think I was a fanboy when I first met you. It was just because when I was working on my thing in that kind of genre, you
Right.
guys was like that. That what to be or to take notes of. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You've always been ahead of your time as well.
Yeah, that
Definitely.
can suck sometimes, but yeah,
Oh yes. Oh
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
it can
Well,
suck sometimes.
no.
Especially when you see the idea you have come in its time, and you're
Right.
like, "Yo, you know what I'm saying?" But it's
Yeah.
all good.
Yeah.
Even in fashion, things that I was doing, at one time having foreplay and doing a lot of custom. My mentor at that time is still good friend Dapper Dan. And when he
Mm.
had gotten into some trouble he got into, I wanted to like take the mantle or take the torch,
Mm-hmm.
and was doing some things with that. But it's interesting. Then later you see other artists that do it, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
bam. I mean, the
Yeah.
one thing with me, because one of the things I worked on, and myself and a gentleman by the name of Gerard Murray, we had come up with School of Hard Knocks,
Okay.
and that took off right after I left it because I was going
Okay.
through some crazy times in life, and it was like, I just needed to get away from it all. And then shortly after leaving it, it's like, bam,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the way I looked at it was get over or get past the accolades and deal with the fact of what was here and you made tangible, and look what it becomes.
Yeah.
And me, if it wasn't for God in my life, I would definitely be probably a broke artist. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because
Right. Right.
I love creating things. Like even going back to the documentary, I'm not selling it. I'm not making any money off it whatsoever. When it launches on the 29th, it's free to
Yeah.
everybody. Because how you going to say it's a gift to these dancers and saying thank you, and you're charging people for it? And they
Yeah.
trusted me with their time and their stories and their interview. And I was like, no, I want it to be free. I'm not interested in negotiating with any, whatever. I want it. I don't want money to get in the way of the experience, hopefully, of people enjoying a time that people really enjoyed. Not to say they don't now, but it's a different type of music, the 90s and the 80s. What, excuse me, some people consider the golden era of hip
Mm-hmm.
hop, to celebrate that and experience it through this,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. So I don't want money to get in the way from it. So it's no strings, no whatever. It's free. And a lot of people
Okay.
thought I was nuts, but it's all good.
No, I feel you. I feel you. Well, uh, I want to ask you a little bit more about the legacy of Kid and Play.
Sure.
You guys, you actually made more movies than albums. I didn't realize that until literally just today.
I might not
And
realize it now myself. Was it Too Hype, Face the Nation,
yeah,
Funhouse?
yeah,
We did 4 movies. So
right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
You stopped. That doesn't really happen often. Was it? Did you? What made you guys stop like that from
I don't know.
recording albums?
Mm, I don't know if it was us, but I could say it was me. I kind of touched on it a little bit in regards to the divorce and all that stuff. A lot of stuff was going. It was a lot of pressure happening all at the same time.
Hmm.
I'm running businesses, the foreplay, barbershops, newly married, baby on the way, Kid and Play, movies. On top of
Hmm.
that, records,
Hmm.
commercials and stuff. Everything coming at the same time, and my passion was exhausted.
Yeah.
And I didn't love it anymore. I back then it was beepers. I hated when my beeper went off because 9 times out of 10 it was something else. It had to be
Mm.
done,
Yeah.
or yeah, it had to be done. So it was just a real crazy time, and it was really nothing bad. It was just really God knocking at my door,
Yeah.
because one of the things too, as a cautionary tale, so to speak, is some of the stuff I did. A lot of people, some people know, a lot of people know, and some don't, because I'm very open about it. I got kicked out of 5 high schools in New York.
Right.
So a
Right.
lot of stuff I did was just pure talent and, unpolished skills.
Hmm.
But business is very important. Knowing how to count is important. Knowing about, structure and foundation in a business. So a lot of stuff was just really throwing large amount of money into problems that would
Hmm.
solve them, but not with any kind of endurance
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
really solid foundation. So it just got to the point where I got miserable, and it was
Yeah.
tormenting.
Right.
And, I just, in a way, wanted to just stop.
Yeah.
Not give up, just stop.
Right.
And then after that, the divorce came into play, and not really wanting to do what I had to do to have the kind of money that was needed to sustain the businesses and stuff. So it
Hmm.
just got to the point, that I wanted to call it quits, literally.
Yeah.
I used to do some not so good things in the streets of New York City before all of that. So one of those tools I had was a snub nose 38, and I
Hmm.
was trying to work up the courage to use that 38
Right.
to stop this thing, this
Yeah.
repeat, this review. I mean, what do you call it when things just redundantly
Yeah.
play in your head?
Yeah.
I just wanted to stop those images and that torment.
Right.
But I was a coward. God is like,
Mm.
no, don't do that.
Yeah.
But I tried to work it up like, or it was like almost like days in a row. I remember that, like, we were still in the Jet magazines and all of that
Hmm.
stuff, and it was a very real possibility that, like, the next day someone would have looked and said, so and so for whatever, was found dead with self-inflicted wounds to his head and stuff.
Right.
But the Lord stepped right in and said, "Yeah, you did a pretty good job with what you did, all these accolades and achievements. But
Hmm.
why don't you let me take over? I know
Yeah.
I know a manager and there's some people that can do
Yeah.
real good." I'm like, "Who's this person?" And to become my agent, my lawyer, my accountant, and all of that, and it's my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Wasn't an
Yeah.
overnight healing,
Right.
because I quit school, 5 of them. I had to go back to school, but in a very
Hmm.
unorthodox way. Did a lot of stage plays for a long time, gospel
Right.
stage plays, and then ended up getting an offer to be an artist in residence at Miles College in Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
And just, edited from there, went on to North Carolina Central University, where I
Hmm.
met you,
Yeah.
to become an artist in residence there. Big shout out to Dr. Sloan, God bless his soul, with
Right.
Miles College, and then Chancellor Ammons at North Carolina Central University. Then he went on to FAMU, brought me
Yeah.
over there. So while I'm doing the artist in residence thing, the celebrity thing, the thing about Dr. Sloan, going back to Miles College, the idea he had was for me to help them with their recruitment program, to visit the high schools for
Okay.
them to think about coming to college. And here's a celebrity that's endorsing it. But not only there was their compensation, there was me being able to sit in on classes and go back
Right.
to school. So that was
Right.
like crazy, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, and then the same thing with North Carolina Central, and the same thing
Hmm.
with FAMU, so to speak. So getting that in. But and then here I am, and really happier, and maybe even as successful without the amount of popularity as before. But right now, I
Uh-huh.
just love doing what I do, which is being a cinematographer and a content creator, so to speak. Yeah.
Real quick, back to House Party just for a second.
I'm gonna take your time.
Any chance you would consider or accept a role in it, maybe as the father or something?
Well, it's interesting. I want to have fun. I'm
Uh-huh.
living my bucket list now. Thank God it's not inspired by a negative doctor's report.
Right.
But when we were doing those films, I was approached about other movies to
Uh-huh.
consider and to meet the directors.
Uh-huh.
One of them was 6 Degrees of Separation, the Will Smith movie.
Right.
Toys with Robin Williams. I think LL Cool J did that.
Uh-huh.
I think the other one was Strippers or something.
Mm.
Glenn Plummer. I love his acting, as
Okay.
well as Will Smith and LL. The role he played, and that was it.
Uh-huh.
The girl from Elizabeth Berkley from Saved by the Bell, the Vegas picture. It was her first
Uh-huh.
picture, and there was a big controversy about her doing nudity and all that stuff.
I don't know.
Yeah, I forgot what it was, but the name of it right now, it'll come to me when I stop thinking about it. So in the middle of the interview, I'll shout it out because it'll hit me. But
All right.
anyway, yeah, so I said no to all of those, even meeting with a
Okay.
director, because I was loyal to the brand and to the friendship of Kid and Play. So
Right.
now that we're grown men and we have this platform, this legacy, these opportunities to do some things that we've been curious about. Because for me, before Kid and Play took off, I was, and before I got kicked out of 5 high schools, the first high school I was in was the High School of Art and Design. But I was
Mm-hmm.
accepted also to the High School of Performing Arts and Music and Arts. So it
Yeah.
always been in the back of my head, what would have happened if I would have took that road?
Right.
But as I got introduced to other things and acting and all of that, people was like, "Yo, you got some acting chops there. Would you ever consider?" And I'd be like, "No, I just think it wouldn't be right with the friendship and the brand. Well,
Yeah.
we didn't call it a brand back then, but so now I'm like, you know what? Before it's time to go on to the next realm and leave this realm of Earth, if those opportunities present themselves, I don't want to do it because out of desperation or urgency. And I understand that for others. I'm not knocking that. I just don't want to do it out of that. I want to really experience the experience.
Right.
So that's why I've accepted some acting situations. So in answer to your question, I would be interested in it if it's fun,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of leaning towards I don't know and is it necessary for
Uh-huh.
the art of the film. If it's something that's entertaining, clever, makes sense, whatever,
Uh-huh.
instead of it being predictable or whatever, I don't know. And it's
Yeah.
something I'd like to discuss with Kid, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? With that, I don't know. I really
Yeah.
don't know, but I'm happy for them though, but I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know.
You have some new acting roles, right? Am I correct in that?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Can you
yeah.
speak on your recent acting?
Well, it's interesting because once I let my person/people know that, hey, I got this list on my bucket list, and that's
Uh-huh.
one of them. I think he was really happy to hear that.
Yeah.
And I ended up, I have a role on this Amazon Prime series called Church Folks.
Okay.
And I love it. It's really funny. It's a new director and a new all of that stuff, but they got something there. And it's me and Dorian Wilson. Dorian Wilson, I hope I'm saying his name right, from the Parkers, Professor
Okay.
Ogilvy.
Yeah.
And it's about a church that's going through some things, and
Okay.
we ain't all that high and mighty, and you just
Mm-hmm.
really see the truth about people being people, no matter if you're a believer or a Christian or not. So
Yeah.
that's funny. It's like a show that's like The Office, no laugh
Yeah.
tracks or nothing, stuff like
Right.
that. So we're supposed to be shooting our second season with that later this year,
Okay.
COVID willing. Well, I'm sorry, I take
Yeah.
that back, God willing.
Right.
But the other one I'm really excited about was to get a call or interest from Will Packard and his people for BET's Bigger
Okay.
show. So I have a recurring role on that in their second season, very age appropriate.
Uh-huh.
Some people might find it interesting at first look because
Okay.
it will not match who I am as a believer
Okay.
Christian.
Okay.
But at the end, it all comes together. There's
Okay.
there's a reason. But it's a very interesting character. I love it. Cat that's rough around the edges, did some time in the joint. and getting his life together and how it fuses in with the characters and stuff in it. And it was just really, aside from what we had to deal with COVID, one of the things that was kind of disappointing is when I'm returning back, I'm expecting the things that I remember from making movies and doing television shows.
Right.
Well, some of those places we went to, only Will Packard could have the kind of budget he had to be able to do stuff. And we did this in the mid to late months of last year. So you know how COVID was then.
Yeah.
But when you went to some of the locations and you saw what we call the COVID police, you thought you was entering a nuclear site or something.
Right.
Because that's just how well protected they were. And if you didn't have lines or a thing to say on the set, could you please leave the set, go back to your trailer until it's time for your lines, or they get the lighting together. They're making sure everybody's 6 feet apart. One's walking around with the Purell or the Purell on steroids. You needed, constantly all of that. So it wasn't the same as making movies and doing television before, because you couldn't have family to come visit the set, not even your lawyers or your agent, all of that. So it was very different. But in spite of all of that, I had a lot of fun. The cast of that show is amazing. Just me. I never forget, Glenn Turman, my favorite movie, my house party from my era is Cooley High.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the visit to the set of one of our house parties. Glenn Turman came.
Wow.
And to just see this guy, preacher, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, and to meet him and all of that. All kinds of visitors would come to our sets, even Tupac and them, our dude, God rest his soul. But to see him, that meant so much to me. But I'm watching him sitting in the guest, chair, the movie chairs, and he's just watching. And I became that person on the set of Bigger. I'm the older head, you know what I'm saying? And stuff they're talking about, like you said with your daughter, everything is social media and on the phone. Yeah. And they're talking about this thing that just got posted and this, and using terms I'm not familiar with. I'm like, and I'm one of the lead guys, Chase, brilliant comedian and actor. I was like, yo, so what does that term mean? I'm like, yo, I'm so
right.
But I'm very unapologetic of it, because I embrace where I'm at in life. I made it through with all the stuff I've been through. Yeah. The attempt with suicide, some other things that I've been through. I'll never forget something. Chris, I'm having an elderly moment. Chris Rock, sorry.
Okay.
Chris Rock said in his last stand-up, and he was talking about, I'm paraphrasing, he was talking about how he felt one particular morning when it was time for him to get dressed and go to court and deal with all the stuff he was dealing with in his life personally. It wasn't a feel-good experience. Right. And I think he said, and he looked in the mirror, just came to himself after thinking about all this stuff he's going through, being sued, divorced, this, that, and this. And he said, I made it.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. I mean, I think that went over maybe some people's head, but a lot of people don't know the price you pay for the success. You see what's in the magazines and even Instagram and stuff now, but there's, Biggie, more money, more problems. Yeah. And when he said that, you think about all the stars that you read about. You read about them going through divorces and doing this, whatever, but they all had the problems you wish you had because you thought it was whatever. Yeah. So, that has been something I've experienced, but to be on the set and watch these kids do their thing and learn from them and, ask questions, what does that mean? All that kind of stuff is funny. But no, I hope people accept it. My only regret was I misunderstood the title, because as COVID, you're like, well, I ain't going nowhere. Let me enjoy this food and that's food. So, and I thought, I got prepared. So it's called Bigger. I got to get bigger. So I was wrong. So now I'm working on a new show called Thinner. So, smaller. But, no, I had a good time. And I look forward to if this means something and goes into something as far as, successful acting career, so to speak. But doing it because I want to do it, not because I have to do it.
Okay. Now, what did you think of the Salt-N-Pepa movie? That was had some things going on in there.
It's surreal, because a lot of that you were either there or you really know. And I guess for the sake of time and editing, they took some creative liberties or creative license, but it was fun. There were some inaccuracies, but it was understood. that needed to be done. But it was just funny, because I remember when I wasn't planning on watching it. I'm one of those people that when everybody's going in that direction, either I'll wait till later or I'll go the opposite way. But
Okay.
I was in a good mood, and it just so happened I was either editing something, I was done, and it was time for it to come on. Let me have a good time with this. And right when it was time to introduce the kid and play characters, I think it's the Cheryl character, the Salt character, that says, yeah, it is, because she's telling Sandy about the job at Sears Roebuck. And she's saying, that's Kid, he's nice or whatever, and that's Play, and he's a dog. And I'm like, I text Cheryl right away and said, a dog. And she texted me back saying, I'm sorry. I wasn't there to do whatever like that. And I'm like, I was just messing with her. But it was surreal,
Yeah.
to see people play you and then, to recapture and reminisce and go down memory lane in regards to some of the things that they got into and showed. And I just hope it was a blessing and something for whatever it would mean for a lot of people that's aspiring to get in this business, especially on a woman's journey and things of that nature. But as you know, and I believe you would agree with, they definitely paved the way. Those are legends,
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Those are my girls, my sisters for life.
Yeah. Do you talk to Martin at all?
I haven't spoken to Martin in decades. Kid
Really?
has, there's a price to pay to a certain degree of not living in LA. God bless y'all. That's just not my thing. I've been so New York or it's just me. I tried to do it. It's just different, very expensive, all of that. New York ain't cheap either. But so Kid lives in LA. So Kid has been with him a couple of times, had dinner at his house and things of that nature. But no, I haven't spoken to Martin in last time I saw Martin was when we all just happened to do the Arsenio Hall show together. His TV show was hitting. We were out with another album. I think we was promoting an album or an album and a movie, who knows. And we all had dinner together and all of that. I remember I was doing, because I love Martin. He is very supportive of me. His first 6 shows, it might have been more, of Def Jam comedy, I did those outfits.
Okay.
Yeah, all of those outfits I designed. And if you look closely, you'll see the 4-play emblem on his, on his chest.
Okay.
And so he would come, I hook him up and all that stuff. And then he was starting a line called Run Tell That. And he was saying to me that would I, help him to help design and stuff. But it was like one of those things that happen in Hollywood. Let's do lunch. Lunch never really happens. But that's the last time I remember. I could be wrong, but I think that's the last time I've seen Martin. Yeah.
Got you. Well, I want to thank you for your time, man. I also want to give you a congratulations because you have aged remarkably well. And we don't say this enough.
Approaching 59.
I'm just, hey, that's a gift. You know what I mean? And I have to say that because cats like me, we're all getting older, but I always look at folks and how they mature and how they evolve. And I have to give you that compliment, man. Give you some flowers.
I thank you for that, and I give all the credit to God and a little just for men. So, it helps, what I'm saying? But I really appreciate that. I mean, our health and our lives, it's all we got. So, one of the things, not to end on a bad note or a sad note, is with this whole COVID situation, I only heard one person say it out loud, and that was Bill Maher, and saying that, we're dealing with a thing that takes advantage of poor health. That's what it takes advantage of, is poor health. That's why it didn't affect the youth right away. And God bless them now with this whole B117 variant. But the thing is that it takes advantage of those who are in poor health. And unfortunately, that's the minority communities. I deal with diabetes. I was dealing with cholesterol issues and high blood pressure. And I went to see a doctor one day thinking, he was just going to say everything was cool. And he's like, Mr. Martin, you're 6 doorsteps away from either a major stroke or a heart attack. And that blew me away. And I was like, I just said, nah, and watched that sugar intake. I don't even do sugar anymore and laying off the meat and all that stuff. But, I still cheat every once in a while and, thank
moderation.
You. Yeah. Thank you. Great word. Great word. But please, everybody, take care of yourselves. and all of that. And I thank you all again, allhiphop.com, you and Greg, blessing, and I appreciate y'all, giving me some shine with this documentary that means a lot to me and hopefully to others.
Before we go, give everybody the lowdown on when, where, and all the
Thank you.
credentials. Yeah.
Thank you. It's April 29th, which happens to be International Dance Day.
Okay.
And it's going to be on the streaming platform network called Streamwaves. Stream, but Waves, WAZE. And this is a new platform, black owned and operated by another favorite of many, Ron Lawrence, otherwise known as Amin Ra, who used to be a hitman under Diddy and Bad Boy. He's responsible for Notorious with B.I.G., Where I'm From with Jay-Z, Mariah hits, Aretha Franklin hits, all of that stuff. So he too, we're both homeboys. We're both from East Elmhurst, Queens, and have remained friends over the years. So he started this platform. I thought this was a beautiful situation to bring two hopeful, beautiful things together, a black-owned, operated thing, which his platform is providing a platform for aspiring cinematographers and filmmakers and things of that nature, and me to bring this there, to bring attention to this platform and enjoy it. So thank you for reminding me of that. But yeah, it's April 29th, probably at 8 o'clock. You'll be given the code or whatever to get to it. And it's absolutely free, and everybody enjoy yourselves. Go down memory lane and enjoy some tunes and some stories. No gossip, not gossip, but no stories of what really happened with this star and that star behind the scenes. I do have some of those in the can, but that's not what this is about,
Yeah. We'll talk about those stories later on down the line.
Yes, sir.
For the big views, views.
Yes, sir.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
Love, peace, and hair grease, man. And God bless y'all greatly.
Yeah.
Out.
You too. Peace.